Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. My name is Marc Farzy here at the Steven Singer Studios. We got Derrick Gunn joining us on the show today, talking about all things Philadelphia Eagles ahead of tomorrow's preseason game. How exciting is that? It gets underway. A couple of things here. Let's see. Screw you, Mother Nature. That's one that covers the Phillies. Why do the Eagles hate Jalen Hurts? That's number two there. And pretty much that's it. We might go off on Ben Simmons again today. But the main focus of today is Phillies. Main focus of today is the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So much to get to in regards to those two subjects. Now, why would I say screw you, Mother Nature? Well, I'll say that because an hour and 44-minute rain delay. When Aaron Nola looked the sharpest, when Aaron Nola's curveball looked the nastiest, 4 innings of shutout baseball by Aaron Nola yesterday before the hour and 44-minute rain delay. Struck out 7 in that time, and his curveball was biting like I have not seen it bite in quite some time. Strikes out the side to open things up. Looked like he was going to be on cruise control against Max Scherzer for the rest of the game. Was actually out-dueling slightly Max Scherzer in the 4 innings that they actually pitched. Scherzer actually went 3 1/3. And I was looking forward to seeing a pitcher's duel for 9 innings. And we were robbed of that yesterday. And you know what we got instead? A bullpen game. And just tell me this. When you saw J.D. Hammer enter the game, and the first batter he faces, he first off threw an awful pitch high and outside that just got topped out to the left field stands. You didn't know from that point on that it was going to be bad? You didn't know for the minute that bullpen game actually started for the Phillies that it was going to be bad? Well, it was. And it was just a waste of what could have been a great night for Aaron Nola. And last night's game probably would have been like a 1-0 win, and maybe a 1-0 loss, maybe a 2-1 loss, something like that, real low scoring as the game would have went on. But the minute they went to the bullpen game is the minute you kind of knew everything was going to go to the wayside, go by the wayside, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. Daniel De Los Santos, I don't know what he was doing last night in the game. I don't know what that was. Seeing Matt Moore come into the game, he kind of knew that things were going to blow up in your face as well. So hopefully the Phillies regroup today, get a win, and then hopefully they're at least able to get one win out of this series with the Dodgers before they go on their merry way for the rest of the season. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that they actually win this game tonight. Get back on the winning track after their 8-game winning streak was snapped at the hands of the Dodgers and their own bullpen after the game. I do want to give a shout out to the Phillies on something, and I know they, of course they lost, but I want to make sure that they get this credit for what they did last night. One of their minor league prospects, Daniel Brito, had some health concerns. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, needed surgery. And the Phillies, as suggested by Gene Segura, had them wear Brito Strong T-shirts to show support to their minor league prospect. Class act by the organization. I know we were recapping all the stuff that happened over Alumni Weekend throughout the week, talking about all the things that the Phillies did. Every person to a man that went into the broadcast booth or did an interview, talked about what a class organization that the Phillies were. Here's another example of that. So kudos to the Phillies for that and showing support for someone in their minor league system. Good on them for that. We saw yesterday that Rhys Hoskins is being put on the 10-day injured list. So he continues to deal with his injury. We'll see how long it takes for him to come back in the lineup. Brad Miller was playing first for the Phillies last night. I have said throughout this entire post-Carson Wentz process for the Eagles that every opportunity the Eagles have to attempt to give any credit to Jalen Hurts or talk about him as the starter, they always really stop short of actual praise. I still feel like the Deshaun Watson deal is inevitable. Derrick Gunn will help us examine that and coming up in a minute. But yesterday was probably the most glaring example. Nick Sirianni addressed the media yesterday, as did Darius Slay. We'll get to him in a minute. But Nick Sirianni was just asked a simple question about starters playing tomorrow night, Thursday night, in their preseason opener against the Steelers. That's it. Starters playing. What's the plan? And Jalen Hurts. What's the plan with Jalen Hurts? This isn't the regular season. Gamesmanship shouldn't come into effect here. Why not just say that Jalen Hurts is going to be like Jalen Hurts is going to be my starter. Like, even in that regard, that was very difficult for Nick Sirianni to say. And it's not just a Sirianni thing, it's an organizational thing. When Howie Roseman addressed the media 2 weeks ago, it felt like the same type of thing. But I don't care if they name him the starter for the season or not. I get that. It's all about competition. I get it, all right? But the 2 days before you actually play the game, here's Nick Sirianni on starters and what their role is going to be come Thursday.
Yeah, we're still talking through that. Every day. We don't have exactly, again, there's guys, everybody's in a little different scenario. So for me to say, hey, the starters are playing this many, everybody's got, we've discussed everybody, and everybody has their own little scenario that we're doing. So expect everybody to play for the most part. And yeah, that's in constant discussion.
Quarterback rotation at all? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, same way it's been playing out in practice. Jalen will go with the starters, and then Joe will go in after him, and Nick will go after him.
What about the running back position?
We're still looking at that. We still got another practice to evaluate to see who we want to go in there, but we got another practice to see who it is. So yeah, not going to name that right yet.
Like, even the way of saying Jalen's going to go in with the starters. Like, is there a worse way to announce anyone's the starter? Like Jalen Hurts is just going to walk onto the football field and be like, "Oh, hey, these guys are starters. I guess I'm starting." Like, it's just the weirdest thing. It's a preseason game. It shouldn't matter. I don't know why. In any other season, I wouldn't care about this. But it's even just a preseason game. They almost hide the idea. He'll go in with the starters. So is he a starter? Well, he's going in with the starters. It's just it's pretentious. I get it. It might sound dumb, but when you listen to everything else that's been said by the organization about Jalen Hurts, we want him to take the reins. Okay, that's probably the most honest thing that they could say. Because in all honesty, there's no harm in saying that. There's no, gotcha. You said that he was going to be your starter, and now he's not because he traded for Deshaun Watson. I just feel like if you don't read reports, if you only listen to what the coaches say, if you only pay attention to what's going on between the lines or whatever it might be from the organization itself, you would almost look at it and go, is there a trade brewing? If there was no other reports, if this was actually the best kept secret in all of football instead of the worst kept secret in all of football, you'd go, is there, they're not so sold on this Jalen Hurts fella. They don't really seem to be into him. I will say, if this is all about competition, Joe Flacco must be just having a terrible training camp because he's not even sniffing the idea of being a starter just yet. And we all know that's BS and that's pretentious language as well. But if this is all about competition, Jalen Hurts has not been having a very strong training camp, even a little bit, according to all the reports, according to what I've seen from it as well, that this has just not been a very strong showing for Jalen Hurts. And him wanting to take the reins, Paul Domowitch wrote a great piece in the Philadelphia Daily News today about how Jalen Hurts hasn't risen to that occasion just yet of taking the reins. So here's what I'm hoping for. Nick Sirianni, and hardly not a lot of coaches go out there and tell you exactly what the plan is for the first preseason game, especially when you have a quarterback that's just coming into his first year, at least right now, as the QB number one of the football team. But I'm hoping that in whatever it might be, the series, quarter, I doubt, but whatever it might be for Jalen Hurts, I'm simply hoping that he is a guy that can go out there and just on game day really put it together. For whatever reason, he just has not had a strong camp, even a little bit. I'm hoping that come game day, he makes you feel more comfortable about if he is the starting quarterback come week one of the regular season, because so far it's just training camp. But this is a guy that even if you don't hear it from the team, as a fan, you just want to see him take the reins as the starting quarterback, because odds are, regardless of a trade, he is going to be the starting quarterback of the football team come week one, which is why I always like to ask people, not who's going to be their starting quarterback, but who will start more games for the Eagles in the upcoming season. Joe Flacco, Jalen Hurts, or Deshaun Watson. So just thinking that Deshaun Watson is going to at least start out the season with some type of suspension at least lets you know that Jalen Hurts most likely will be a starting quarterback if he's not involved in a trade. But even with the time being, I at least want to see him go out there in training camp, or excuse me, in the preseason, in the first game of the preseason, and do something that make me go, oh, yeah, all right, I can see why this guy's going to be your starting quarterback when the season actually gets underway, as opposed to crossing your fingers and hoping he puts it together when the season actually starts. So if it's a big play to whoever it might be, Kez Watkins, for instance, down the football field, he just gives you something special just to show you that his timing is down with some of these receivers he's still trying to get used to. That'll be enough for me. That's all I want to see, a big play from him. I don't want to see turnovers. That's the most obvious thing. But I'd like to see a big play. If I could fish a wish, give me a big play. Give me something that goes, this is a guy that can at least start out the season for you. Or this is a guy that might be able to get you somebody in return that'll make you feel better about this offense going forward. So that's what I'm crossing my fingers for. That's what I'm hoping for when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Now, this other thing, I continue to think about this Eagles secondary. And I actually feel like I'm in a good place with this Eagles secondary right now, ahead of any actual game action. I talked about Zach McPherson. I've talked about Steven Nelson, their latest acquisition to the secondary in terms of starters. Avonte Maddox being moved into a spot that he's much more comfortable in and playing in that nickel defense, playing on the inside. We've talked about Darius Slay and how good he has been over really his first year of being a Philadelphia Eagle. And we've talked about him finally having somebody to play opposite him with Steven Nelson. Well, the emergence of the rookie, just having a strong camp, and a strong camp is still a strong camp. It's still looking like you belong. I want to see that same type of thing from him coming up on Thursday night. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing in the secondary. Seeing Harris back there, seeing McLeod out there eventually, I'm starting to feel pretty good, at least on paper, at least name-wise, who the Eagles have in the secondary. And whenever I'm grading the Eagles secondary, I always take into account the defensive line. And I was a little disappointed to see that Ryan Kerrigan, although it's only supposed to be about 10 days, he's getting the thumb surgery, nothing serious, but he's still getting surgery. A little disappointed in that just because I wanted to see him at some point line up with Fletcher Cox and line up with Brandon Graham and line up with these guys on the defensive line. But anytime I'm looking at the Eagles secondary, I always take into account how much they invest in their defensive line. So that's always something that's supposed to help the balance there. Linebacking core will actually know each other pretty well. That's a good sign. Alex Singleton, obviously returning as your team's leading tackler. Want to see him pick up from where he left off last year. And I find myself in the Nick Sirianni era, which is just about to get underway, I find myself pretty excited for a preseason football game. Pretty excited just to see the way this all comes together in our first little appetizer to the main course. This is the chef's salad right before a nice steak comes to the table from Steak and Maine. How about that? But this is that kind of appetizer for me. And one of the things Nick Sirianni got into yesterday, I've never understood this, and the Eagles are far from the only team that does this. A lot of teams do this. I never understood, and I'll ask Derrick Gunn about this. I never understood why it's a good idea to call a play twice. In other words, Nick Sirianni said that he's going to be calling plays, which is what we all expected. Nick Sirianni is then going to relay that to Sean Steichen, his offensive coordinator, and then Steichen is going to relay that to Jalen Hurts or whoever the quarterback is. Well, if the coach is calling plays, why not just boom right there? Under Andy Reid, under Andy Reid, this is something that would eat up a lot of play clock. And I always remember one of the knocks on Andy Reid and his system was the terminology was like, even for an NFL play, calling a play was reciting a paragraph as opposed to a sentence fragment to get the play done. And I know that there's a lot of assignments in every play call, and I get that. But even more to the reason, why not just put the play in the ear of the quarterback? It's got to be a far more complicated thing than I understand. But I'll ask Derrick Gunn about that coming up in just a second. I do want to tell you right now about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do. All big purchases, all your big jewelry purchases, engagement rings. Go to the other corner of 8th and Walnut right in Philadelphia. That's the other corner of 8th and Walnut or at IHateStevenSinger.com. Use the appointment scheduler. Make yourself an appointment. You walk in, and you're going to get taken care of by a real jewelry expert every single time. Steven Singer just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday, Steven Singer. What do you get Steven Singer for his birthday? Big jewelry? I think the guy's doing all right when it comes to jewelry. But do what I do. Every single time, the perfect price at Steven Singer Jewelers. So you know that when you walk in there, you're not going to get taken advantage of. Everything is marked at the perfect price. So when you walk in, you don't have to feel the pressure of how good your negotiating skill is. You see something that you think might be a little out of your price range. Oh, I can get that down just a little bit. Guess what? It's not going to be out of your price range because every single day it's set at the perfect price. No markup, no need for haggling, no need for negotiating. You walk in, you can just worry about feeling comfortable and buying the piece of jewelry that you really want. And once again, a real jewelry expert is standing by at the ready to help you out, pick out that perfect price, that perfect piece of jewelry at the perfect price every single time. IHateStevensinger.com, always fast and free shipping at IHateStevensinger.com. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. So do what I do, head to Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you missed the announcement last week, I'm going to be doing an Eagles post-game show with our guest here today, Derrick Gunn. It's called Birds. It's called live the live post-game show. It's going to be me, Derrick Gunn, Devin Caney, John McMullen, and Lane Johnson will be a weekly guest as well. We really look forward to doing this. We're going to talk a little bit about it here. And I just really like talking to this man. His name's Derrick Gunn. You know him, you love him. One of the best Eagles reporters to ever do it. Without further ado, here's our good friend, Derrick Gunn. Is now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, a man that I just admire. You know how much I love this man. And now, guess what? I get to prove it on this new Eagles show, live post-game show with himself right there, Derrick Gunn. You and I are going to be working with the great people at Jacob Media. Devin Caney's going to be a part of this. Is John McMullen, Lane Johnson. Gee, Gunner, how we get Lane Johnson? And also from the Gun on One podcast, Mr. Derrick Gunn joins us. What's up, Gunner?
My brother, how you been, man?
I have been fantastic. We get to work together again.
I'm looking forward to doing the live post-game show with you. When Joe Kraus, who is the CEO of the Jacob Media Network, asked me to do it, he asked me who are some people I would love to do it with. And, you know, your name it was like a beacon of light that just came down from the heavens. And I just saw the name, Marc Farzetta. I said, that's it. It's gold, you know, and I don't want to be like him when I grow up. So why would, you know, he's like the Pied Piper of Philadelphia. Why would I want to follow him? So
it just came to you on page 78 of your 80-page pamphlet of other names that you had. I'm sure that's where it came.
Oh, come on. Don't cut yourself short, man. You know, you at the top of that list, brother.
Oh, come on. I know I'm awesome. Anyway, no, I'm really looking forward to this.
Humility just checked out.
No, in all seriousness, this is going to be a lot of fun. Devin is awesome. John does a great job writing. And, of course, Lane Johnson is always chock full of information and piping hot takes after a game. So I look forward to having
you never know what he's going to say at any given moment.
Lane speaks Lane's mind, man, as you well know. As you well know. Hey, last we spoke, Nick Sirianni was just kind of working his way in as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's now been through 11 training camp sessions. He's been through his first Lincoln Financial Field training camp session in front of Eagles faithful. What are you making in the very early goings ahead of his first actual game being coached, albeit preseason? What are you making of the Eagles rookie head coach to this point, Gunner?
I think we're starting to see him get a little bit more comfortable in who he is and who he wants to be. You know, when you think about it, he's coming from a market like Indianapolis where you don't have a lot of media contingent, and you have a good football fan base, but nothing as rabid as Philadelphia's. And I'm sure he's heard all the stories from Frank Reich and other people that he's solicited information from in terms of, hey, what are these Philadelphia fans like? It can be overwhelming. And then when you couple that with the fact that you have hordes of media in the Philadelphia market, probably the largest media contingent in the NFL, who's descending upon you each and every time. Although, you know, with COVID, you know, there's been limitations now in terms of how many media can actually be in a practice field. But I think it can be overwhelming. And he sounded very scripted initially, and that's understandable. You want to make sure you say the right things. You want to make sure you don't get off on the wrong foot. But I think now we're starting to see a little bit more personality coming out in Nick, and you're starting to understand what he expects of his team and what we can expect of him. I don't know if that will translate into more W's than L's. That remains to be seen. But I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable in his environment now.
The T-shirt game, wearing the shirts of players that he's now coaching, too much, or is it, you know, just enough for a guy trying to, I don't know, ingratiate himself to his new roster?
I think I like it. I like the fact that, you know, he's been billed as this player's coach, and I think this is just another way to bridge a gap between a young head coach and his players. And from what we've seen, that, you know, he'll get on the players also when he has to. I think that he can walk that imaginary line of being a coach when he has to be, coaching them up and coaching them up hard sometimes when he has to be, and also being a player's confidant as well, and one of the guys as well. And I think the players like the fact that he'll come out there wearing a Brandon Graham shirt or so on and so forth. Players like that. I mean, that's the best way. That is the best way to bond. When you're a new guy on the block and you got to prove yourself, especially the veterans. Young players, they're just happy to be there. They don't care who's coaching them up. They're just happy to be there and getting paid. But when you have veterans, and Mark, that's in what we do also. When somebody comes in, you want to step back and you want to critique them a little bit before you try to open up to them and get close to them. And I think Nick has done a great job so far with stuff like that, with the T-shirts, of ingratiating himself with these players and winning them over.
Are you going to wear a Marc Farzetta T-shirt on our first show with the live post-game show?
Only if I'm getting paid extra for it. I'm just telling you right now, flat out. Hey, look, you know what? Me and you, we're family. Well, you want me to start wearing a billboard on my front or my back? You better be some Benjamins with that shirt as well, my brother.
My mom, Eleanor, she'd gladly pay you. I know that.
Would she? Hope she's not as cheap as her son.
Know me too well. Damn it. All right. Nick Sirianni said yesterday in his press conference that he was going to be calling the plays. Not at all a shock.
Right.
However, this never made sense to me. Going back to Andy Reid, to Brad Childress, Andy Reid, to Marty Morningweg, whoever it might have been. Why is this a common practice? Isn't that common of a practice for the play caller to give the play to the coordinator give the play to the quarterback? It just always seems like, why is there a middleman? It just takes up time on the play clock.
You know what? I wish I could answer that. I don't. I don't have a definitive answer for you, because you're right. You have limitations in terms of getting that play in. And as we saw during the Doug Peterson era, sometimes, you take a little bit too long to get a play and you got to waste the time out because you don't want to get penalized for a delay of game. But, a lot of coaches around the league do that. Now, some coaches do have direct contact with the quarterback themselves. Some like to go through. I think in some cases it's just a matter of making sure you implement an offensive coordinator's ideas as well. Normally when you go into a game, you're on the same page with your coordinator anyway. Your plays are scripted. But I just think it's a way also for that OC to also be more involved in the game. And let's face it, the more input an OC has in a game, if he's successful, somewhere down the road, he's going to be a head coach. And a lot of times the existing head coaches like to see his subordinates, branch out and become head coaches as well.
I'm trying to find a good answer to this, and I've asked a lot of people this question here. But I'm going to put you on the spot here, Gunner.
Okay. All right.
Who will start more games at quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
Joe Flacco.
Ooh.
Deshaun Watson.
Whew. Well, I do know for a fact, and I've tweeted it out a couple of times, that the Eagles do have serious interest in a Deshaun Watson. The thing is, whoever, and I understand there's a couple of other teams like Miami and Denver that also have interest in Deshaun as well. Whoever takes on the task of bringing them to his organization, because I saw John McClain, who's a writer for the Houston Chronicle down in Houston, tweeted out saying Deshaun Watson will never play another game for the Houston Texans, which tells me that he's going to be moved at some point. But whoever decides to take him on, there's a lot of baggage you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have X amount of fans protesting that you brought this guy in here when you consider some of the allegations against him. He's probably going to be suspended for 4 games, 8 games. Who knows? It could be more than that. It could be 12 games. So basically, you're going to trade a high volume of draft picks or whatever the case may be, high draft picks and some quality players to bring in a guy you may not see until week 8, week 10 of a regular season. And your season could be lost by then or could be teetering on the brink of disaster. So whoever does this is the kind of decision that could make or break them as an executive in the National Football League. And a lot of people will be looking closely at this in terms of how it's the business is conducted of handling him and either putting him out there. You remember when they brought Michael Vick? They brought Michael Vick here. They put him out there right away in front of the media. And Michael Vick answered everybody's questions. Every dart that was fired his way, Michael Vick stood there and took it. And week after week, he was very gracious. Will they do if the Eagles get him? Will the Eagles do the same thing with Deshaun Watson? But in this case, will they shield him away from the media for a while until they sit back and really, put their collective minds together to decide, okay, how do we want to approach this? All right, Deshaun, you can say this, but don't say this because this will set off X amount of people.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But to answer your question, man, that's a great question. Wow.
I learned how to be a reporter by watching you.
I'm going to say initially, take Deshaun Watson out of the equation because he's going to miss X amount of games.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when you look at Jalen Hurts' situation,
yes,
the fact that the constant rumor is out there that the Eagles are looking to upgrade into position tells me that they're not completely sold on Jalen Hurts as the long-term solution to their quarterback situation. If Jalen Hurts gets out there and blows them away, obviously it's his show until further notice. If he struggles, how quick will they pull the trigger and bring in Flacco and get? So I'm going to say right now, I'm going to go Hurts. I'm leaning towards Hurts right now.
Wow!
By the slimmest of margins, because I don't want to see Joe Flacco on the field.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. As much as I like to say Joe Flacco in the Baltimore accent,
right.
I'm going to tend to stay away from that. Let's talk about this for a second because I was just on a podcast the other day, and I was being asked a question about the Eagles secondary. And as the season gets closer, you start to think a little bit more out loud as you're being asked questions. And I was originally concerned about this Eagles secondary, but then they went and got Steven Nelson, and that makes you feel good. All the reports early on are that Zach McPherson actually looks like one hell of a cornerback coming out of the gate here. You already have Avonte Maddox moving on to the inside. It's much more comfortable position. You brought in Harris as a safety. McLeod hopefully coming back strong, and then you obviously you already have Darius Slay.
Right.
Am I crazy to think that the Eagles might actually have a halfway decent secondary here?
I think on paper, it looks like they do. I mean, Steve Nelson had an off year last year, but the year prior to that, he had a great season. Darius Slay had a great season in Detroit before he came here last year and had to fight 3 injuries and tailed off. So I think on paper, they have a pretty good looking secondary. When you talk about McPherson, I don't get too hyped when it comes to training camps and stuff like that. Everybody's, man, he made a great catch or a great interception, great deflection. Yeah, you're playing against your teammates. By week 2, basically what plays they're running, for the most part. I'm going to see you get out there against the upper echelon of talent that you're going to face week in and week out. Does a kid have potential? Absolutely. But does it translate into being a primetime player in the National Football League? That remains to be seen. But I think on paper right now, when you look at what is structured on the secondary, and it's a big if, I always say if is one of the biggest words in the dictionary. If they can stay healthy, I think they potentially could take a lot of burden off of the front seven on this Eagles defense.
Have you ever heard a defensive coordinator like Jonathan Gannon in preseason, or not even preseason, training camp, before you even played a game, talking about how your defense has a stinger and you're going to play rough, even in shorts and shells, and you're going to make sure you're slapping balls out of guys' hands and deflecting passes and at least, making contact on a play? Have you ever heard a defensive coordinator talking about being rough and tough in shorts and shells?
No, but when you look around the league, doesn't every team teach that? Be rough and tough in practice, because what you do in practice, you will do in games.
Sure.
I mean, that's taught across the board. I mean, I understand he's excited about what he's doing, moving in a new direction. He's got to prove himself, just like the rest of their coaching staff, except for Jeff Stoutland, who's one of the better O-line coaches in the game. I get it. But I thought it was a little bit over the top when you're talking about how rough we're going to be in shells. This is like what, you're going to have what, wrestling matches in between whistles, or what? You're going to, guys taking extra shots just to get them mentally tougher. I mean,
whatever it takes.
Hey, look, you can be as tough as you want to be in practice. I'll see how tough you are when it counts the most on Sundays, especially when that regular season starts.
All right, so let's talk about that then, when it actually counts. Let's at least talk about this game action. Jalen Hurts will get snaps coming up on Thursday.
Right.
He has not had the best training camp to this point. How concerned are you when you see these reports, or you see him in practice not exactly being accurate, struggling a little bit here? Is this just a matter of wanting to see him in the game, or is this a matter of just saying, you know what, it's just training camp, it's just practice, let's get him into any type of game situation?
I think it's all of the above. First of all, you have a young quarterback who was tutored initially under a totally different offensive coaching mindset. Now he's learning a whole new offensive scheme. Routes could be a little bit different than what he's used to. Maybe still getting used to the terminology. He's getting used to new receivers. He didn't have a lot of game experience with the receivers he's going to play with. Now he has a new receiver he's going to eventually have to get on the same page with Devontae Smith down the road as well. So I think it's a matter of timing and execution. Now, coming out of the gate on Thursday, considering a lot of young players are going to play significant amounts of snaps, I expect to see some false starts. I expect to see mental mistakes across the board. Hopefully it's not an abundance of them, but it's going to happen because you're learning a whole new system with a whole new regime now. So it's going to take time. And that's what the OTAs and the mini camps and the preseason games are for, to work out these things, to get more cohesiveness, to get that timing down. And coordination down as well. So Jalen's he's going to struggle. He's got, because as you know, Mark, you look at some of the top flight quarterbacks that have played this game, when they have certain receivers they've played with for years, all they have to do is look at each other and they know what they're going to do. Right. Jalen has to get on that level with some of these young guys. I mean, it's a very young receiving core. You got a bunch of hungry guys that still have to prove themselves, at John Hightower. J.J. Arthega-Whiteside, this could be it for him. He may not even make the team coming out of training camp. Quez Watkins didn't play a whole lot because of injuries last year. Now you have Devonta Smith. We don't know how much he's going to play because he's been nicked up, throughout training camp as well. So it's going to take some time for Jalen to get on the same page with these guys. You're going to have some miscues. You're going to have some misreads. You're going to have players probably running wrong routes for a while until they get it down and study the film and iron out these problems. So we just have to sit back and be a little bit more patient than normal with what's going to happen with this team.
Gotcha. Jordan Mailata, I know Andre Dillard has some injury issues again.
Right.
Jordan Mailata, the left tackle, I thought it was his job to lose going into camp. What do you make of it?
I don't think there was ever a so-called competition. I think it was Jordan Mailata's job to win or lose. Unfortunately for Andre Dillard, now he's hurt. He has a knee sprain, so he's on the shelf again. That guy can't stay out of the training room to save his life, man. I feel bad for him. A lot of people, I know, chastise him because they're calling him the second coming of Danny Watkins. But I feel bad for the guy that he can't compete. He's competing more to stay off the IR than he is competing for a starting job. But I think when you look at the natural progression Jordan Mailata has made every year that he's been with his team, and you think about it, it hasn't been that long ago when he had never played football before. And now you're talking about starting him at left tackle in the National Football League for an NFL franchise. That shows you his work ethic, his dedication, and how badly he wants it. And, of course, being coached up by one of the best offensive line coaches in the game speaks tremendous volumes in terms of what they've been able to do with this young man. So I think, you could say it was his job to win or lose. I think it was his job before training camp even started.
Last thing for you, Gunfather.
Yeah.
Last thing for you.
Okay.
Miles Sanders said something 2 weeks ago, and it has not left my brain. It's still there. It's rattling around. A lot of space up there, as you know.
Right.
And he said that the screen game is something that they've been focusing on.
Right.
He said the screen game is something they needed to clean up. It's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but just cleaner than what you saw under Doug Peterson.
Right.
Now, I jumped to the conclusion because of my excitement. Brian Westbrook's screen game. That's what I look for. Yep. That's what I'm hoping for. I think Miles Sanders has been underutilized in this offense, even under Doug Peterson.
I agree.
All right. Am I crazy to be thinking that Nick Sirianni could be featuring Miles Sanders more than what we've seen in the past?
Well, first of all, you are crazy. Second of all, I think so because, I've been told time and time again, Nick Sirianni wants to do two things. He wants to run the football and he wants to feature the screen game. Well, you have a couple of backs in Miles Sanders and in Boston Scott who would be perfect for the screen game, whether it's middle screen, outside screen, whatever it is. So, yes, I would love to see Miles Sanders featured in that screen game because as we've seen, when he gets a seam, if he gets a ray of light, he can do a lot of damage. Not only is he quick, but he has a lot of moves, and he doesn't go down easy. He's capable of breaking tackles. We know Boston Scott can break tackles. And you've got those big road graders in front of you, especially on the right side. Man, if Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson can stay healthy, and of course, Jason Kelce pulling out there as well, you have three Pro Bowlers paving the way for you in a screen game, who else would you want to run the ball behind in a situation like that? So I think this is a great offensive scheme for Miles Sanders to really feature all of his assets, all of his attributes in this Nick Sirianni offense.
Now I'm even more excited. If Gunner's on board with it, I'm on board with it. Gunfather, Gun on One podcast. Make sure you guys check that out all the time. And then obviously after the Eagles games, you and me, buddy.
Brother.
Devin Katie, John McMullen. We're going to have Lane Johnson, and you, of course, and yours truly here on the live post-game show that I look forward to doing with you after every Birds game, my friend. Gunner, thank you so much, bro. Looking forward to the season with you.
You're more than welcome, man. I can't wait to chop it up with you each and every Sunday after games.
My man, the great Derrick Gunn, or as I like to call him, the Gunfather. Gunfather, thanks so much.
My son, you do for me, I do for you. That was terrible. That was so bad.
We'll work on it. We got a season to work on.
I've only watched Godfather like 150 times. I still can't get it right.
So what could happen? So you'll die a little.
There you go.
Anyway,
See, I don't have that. I don't have that.
My family had to do that by the time I was baptized. Go figure. Gunfather, thank you so much. The great Derrick Gunn. Check him out, obviously. Gun on One podcast, as always, joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Thanks, Gunner.
Appreciate you, brother.
I can't believe that he went Godfather. I mean, actually, I can believe that he went Godfather. I mean, impression. I call him Gunfather. I've been calling him that for years. And my brother actually got me one year. If you see those little music boxes, those little tiny music boxes, they play like the Harry Potter theme. Not that I'm a Harry Potter guy. But my brother got me one that plays the Godfather theme song. And I used to follow Gunner around with it at NBC Sports Philly. As he just proclaimed his amazing Eagles football knowledge and football knowledge in general, and really life knowledge. He's a wise man, that Derrick Gunn. That's why I love him so damn much. So anyway, looking forward to doing that show with him coming up after Eagles games. That'll be a good time. Also, by the way, I do want to let everybody know that if you follow our social media accounts at Farzy Show, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff, OnlyFans. I think we just started an OnlyFans. Just kidding. But anyway, we're giving away Phillies stuff. We're giving away Phillies tickets, as a matter of fact, for Friday's game and Sunday's game, both on Instagram and Twitter as well. So make sure you follow us on there and see how you can win yourself some fine tickets to go see the Phillies win. It's just to be expected at this point. It's just to be expected. Let me tell you about our good friends at Rothman Orthopaedics. Rothman Orthopaedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician that not only specializes in orthopedics, but each of their physician only focuses in on one area of the body. That means you can get the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of the Phillies, Eagles, and 76ers. How about our friends at Steak and Maine? SteakandMaine.com. Fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or their more casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. 2 months away for the great cannoli giveaway, 10,000 cannoli down there in South Philadelphia. My man Tony Cavada will be part of that. So make sure you go down there. It's going to be Rim Cafe in South Philadelphia. It's right by Geno's, as a matter of fact. So make sure you check that out if you get some time to go down there. PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across blogs and all social media. That's PHLSportsNation.com. PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com. So make sure you check them out. All right, let's jump on into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at SteakandMaine.com. Let's see what we have here. All right, I saw the OnlyFans got some play already. Go figure. All right, who's leading off for us today? Mally, first in the chat today. What's going on, Mally? Nice to see you. Good morning. Dan, good morning to you. April, this is your day. Why is today's April Day? I thought every day was April's day. I don't know. Morning, weird people of the Farzy world. That actually sums it up rather nicely there, Alex. Let's see. You guys exchanging pleasantries. Although Max Scherzer looked nasty last night, Pete is pointing that out as well. He absolutely did. That's why I said this was going to be the type of game that was going to be a 1-0 ball game in the 8th inning, and both pitchers would be competing to go the distance and all that. It was a really incredible pitching duel for 3 1/3 innings of baseball. And then the minute you know that the Phillies bullpen was going to come into the game, the minute you saw there was J.D. Hammer coming into the game, is the minute you knew it was going to fall apart. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. And let me just say this. That Trey Turner fella, I know Max Scherzer's the headline of that deal, but gosh, I mean, Trey Turner can just flat out play baseball, and he can run the bases, man. Him scoring on the ball hit to right field to Bryce Harper from second base, the fact that he was safe, it wasn't even close. It reminded me in a way, just in terms of not expecting somebody to score on that play, even Trey Turner, who's lightning fast. It reminded me in a way of the Chase Utley "You Are the Man" play, where it was a little dribbler down the first baseline, topped over by Ryan Howard. Chase Utley was on second base in Atlanta, and he scored from second base on this little dribbler hit down the first baseline. And that's where Harry Kalas had the famous quote, "Chase Utley, you are the man." And it kind of reminded me, I just didn't expect him to score on that play. And Trey Turner's fast. He just flat out flies. I mean, it's just further evidence of him doing that last night. I was surprised that he scored on that, but I shouldn't be, because he is just that lightning fast. Screw you, Mother Nature might have a big payback. I agree, Dan. I just can't help it. Mother Nature robbed us of a solid start. Well, he did have a solid start, but a solid full start, right? The full game from Aaron Nola. And what did I say? What have I been saying? That's going to be the most clutch acquisition the Phillies can make, is the clutch version of Aaron Nola. Hopefully that's what they'll have for the remaining part of the season. This is the first time Alex is saying, first time Nick Sirianni sounds like he did in his opening press conference. Yeah, it kind of feels like that. It's starters. What's a starter? The guy that starts, the guy plays before the other guy, before anybody else, right? That's a guy. That's kind of the vibe I got from Nick Sirianni. Sounding like a puppet again. They just, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's if you could have epic fails in press conferences, and of course you can, but Doug Peterson last year had the worst run of press conferences I've ever seen. Andy Reid, we all hated his press conferences, but at least he was consistent. At least that's just who he was. At least that's what he did. Doug Peterson's press conference, I might put on the same line of Tuesdays with Bynum, when Andrew Bynum would give weekly updates on the status of his knee. Was that his issue? Yeah, his knee. Those were awful press conferences. Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson's whole run last year was probably the worst I've ever seen, topping Andrew Bynum. But Nick Sirianni, I'm going to try not to pay as much attention to his inability to public speak in a short, concise, clear manner. I'm going to ignore that. But I am interested to see the first fall flat on your face coaching job by Nick Sirianni, and it's going to happen. It happens to every coach, and how he handles the media in that regard. It'll be that'll be when stuff really starts to fly. Excuse me. How bad a pick would Dillard go down as? Yeah, pretty bad, unfortunately. I'm really rooting for Jordan Mailata. Guy's an easy guy to root for. Getting to talk to him many times in the locker room, easy guy to root for. And then just on top of it, a guy that just works his ass off, man. Works his ass off to learn the position. I remember, and we've had Barrett Brooks on the show to talk about this. I remember Barrett being in the locker room with Jordan Mailata and be like, dude, you got it, man. You got it. It's just going to be a matter of time. And then sure enough, here he is as you're most likely going to be your starting left tackle coming out of camp, barring anything unforeseen. But it's his job, as Derrick Gunn was just telling us there. Farzy, he prefers Steve, LOL. We need producer Jim as a special guest. Producer Jim, your mic working yet? Oh, you getting it? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it. Should we give it a shot? Oh, he's plugging it in. I think he might be grabbing headphones. I don't know. Or cans, as we like to say. Is this happening? I might be booking a special guest in just a second by popular demand. And Jim's got something, not that he doesn't always have something to say, but something particular. We'll get in just a second here. Jim, you would be an amazing guest. They're calling for you, Jim. Let's see. Jack is just laughing. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Jack. Come on, Marc. We know what you get for his birthday, Jack and weed. What the hell, man? I like that all creativity and subtlety has just gone out the window with this running gag. April, maybe buy him another billboard. Gabe, welcome back to the podcast grind. Julian, what's happening? Good morning to you. People excited to see Gunner. You guys are unreal. Mustache game with Gunner is the most underrated mustache game in all of Philadelphia sports, Dan. I agree. Luigi. Oh, if I have Gunner on, no weather girl. Luigi, thank you very much. Grazie mille. Grazie mille. Oh, yeah, we did not talk about grilling. Sorry, Dan. Kevin Smith's checking in. What's up, Kevin? Good morning. Marc's checking in. Brian's checking in. I guess Gunner will not be getting Flacco on his show. I think that's safe to say he will not be on Gun on One. Luigi, I agree. Anytime somebody says something looks good but looks good on paper, that there's a hesitancy there because you're not saying they're good. You're saying they're good on paper. And that's, of course, where you don't play the game. You play the game on grass, as we all know. Isn't Howie and Sealski related? I don't think they are. Mally, you have no subtlety today, man, and I love it. Mally, thank you, very kind. Say Marc and Gunner show is going to be great. I hope so. It will be fire, as it says here in the chat. Brian's checking in. What's up, buddy? Rick's checking in. What would it mean for his mom's JJ Arthego Whiteside? What's she going to do if she can't hold an umbrella over a baby boy? Definitely need to use the screen game. Yeah, I agree. I've been calling for that for a while. We're all looking for, yep, definitely. Farzy Potter. Yeah, I haven't really read Harry Potter. I haven't really read end of statement. I don't like reading books. I don't have the attention span. I'll start a book, and then I'll be like, squirrel. And then, whatever, a couple chapters in, I'm out. The book that I probably read the most of recently, not child's books for my kid, Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential. Phenomenal book. I look forward to finishing it in the year 2035. April's calling for producer Jim as well. Ladies and gentlemen, ask and ye shall receive. Oh, look at him. He's putting his hood down. Ladies and gentlemen, producer Jim.
I had to be a little presentable.
Hey, in the chat, can you guys hear producer Jim?
I think so.
All right, I feel like you can. All right, here's the deal. You were at the game last night. Hour and 44-minute rain delay. What'd you do?
I had work to do, man. I had to get out of there. I had to get up out of there.
You left right away?
I'm sorry?
You left right away?
No, I stuck it out. So I didn't know where the seats were when I bought them. They happened to be second level. They were in the back, the last row, so I was under the overhang. So I was hanging out for a minute, and it started coming down. Like people were screaming. It was one of those like torrential downpours. They got out of there.
Were you in your seat for Nola's first inning?
Oh yeah.
Electric. It looked electric. What was the vibe like at Citizens Bank Park?
I'm still waiting for the full 45,000 to get back there, but it was. I mean, I missed it. You know what I mean? For being home for a year, you really missed that energy in the ballpark. I mean, I grew up playing baseball, everything like that. So it felt good to be back there.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you were down there for at least the start of Aaron Nola, and I'm sorry that you got rained out. Do you agree with me? Screw you, Mother Nature.
Oh yeah, yeah. I paid good money for those seats. I mean, granted, it was the flash sale, $8, but I paid good money for those.
Jim, you have a great rest of your morning. I'll talk to you after the show, my friend. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.
Anytime.
My man Jim helping us out right there. Doing a great job every single morning on the Farzy Show, obviously. Ask and ye shall receive. Hey, you asked for a weather girl? I got you a weather girl. Like that. No problem. You want to talk to Jim? Boom. Jim's on the show. Just like that. I'm a fair and just ruler. Anyway, that's our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. What people are critiquing my children's books knowledge? Honestly, I thought Jim was Marc's invisible friend from childhood. Mally, again, no chill, and I love it. You know who else doesn't have any chill? Darius Slay.
Devontae, we're working with each other and giving each other.
It's from yesterday's press conference. I think it's worth one more run.
Devontae, we're working with each other and giving each other.
Darius Slay sits down in his press conference yesterday, and I don't know who the reporter was that asked him the first question, but he said Darius. He referred to him as Darius. And Darius Slay, every time he's called Darius, it goes Slay, 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 Slay. He only wants to be called Slay. So he corrects the reporter right out of the gate. But in terms of X's and O's on the football field, things that are jumping out to him so far in this training camp comes down to one young receiver, and it's the guy that stole the show at the Eagles training camp session that they had in front of fans at Lincoln Financial Field, Kes Watkins. And listen to the nickname Darius Slay has for Kes Watkins.
Ugly Quez. Ugly Quez been doing a great job, man. Having an awesome count, man. Catching the ball, stretching out for it, making plays down the field. He had a great day in the scrimmage the other day, and he's been consistent. But, now he's having a great camp to me, honestly, and he's been working hard, man. I've been seeing him on and off the field working hard, and the only thing I can do is hey, man, I'm going to keep working him and hope he reaches potential.
Ugly Kes Watkins. I don't think my man's that ugly, but I guess this is the way they break the stones, I guess, in the Eagles locker room at the NovaCare complex. You know what? Darius Slay, I wish nothing but great things. And of course, it's going to help the Eagles out. Of course, it's going to help Eagles fans out if Darius Slay is great. But the fact that he's also such a great personality only makes me want to root for the guy even more. And he also talked about Zach McPherson and how great Zach McPherson has looked, the rookie that we've talked a lot about so far over the last couple of days. How about how they make him feel comfortable. And by the way, don't refer to him as Zach McPherson. Refer to him only as Rook, according to Slay. So that's how we refer to these people now, because it's decreed. It's been decreed by Darius Slay, by Slay himself, that this is what we call the rookies, just Rook. But he said, other than that, they do everything they can to make the young guys in the cornerbacks room feel like they belong and feel comfortable so that they have an environment to grow in. And that's what a leader is supposed to do, make sure everybody can grow. Slay, good luck to you this football season. Also, yesterday at the NovaCare complex, I was checking out some Instagram, and I was checking out Brandon Brooks, and he was posting yet, I believe, another singing competition. I don't know how many of these singing competitions that they have. Friend of the show, Landon Dickerson, was singing the other day, doing a fine job at the start of training camp for the Rookie Talent Show. And now it just seems like it's going to continue as other guys are singing, including Jordan Mailata, who, if you have not heard sing, the man is the songbird of his generation, and he also plays the ukulele. If you haven't heard him, this is courtesy of Brandon Brooks' Instagram feed. Last night, apparently, another singing contest at the NovaCare complex, and here are the amazing sounds from one Jordan Mailata.
I'm not a child in a ballroom.
Go ahead now.
Who was the only love I know? Oh, and it goes, Brandy. I stay strong on your love all the time.
Oh, my God. Beautiful. That's your starting left tackle right there. One of the comments I saw on Twitter yesterday responding to that was just that Andre Dillard has already asked for a trade. Just said, you know what? I can't play because I'm hurt. Jordan Mailata has already won the starting job. Now he's killing it with the amazing vocals that he has. He's the voice of an angel. I feel like a lightning bolt came down and hit me on the all right, anyway. Yeah, Andre Dillard's done. And if he wasn't done, he's done with every note hit by Jordan Mailata. Phillies baseball. I want to make sure I mention this. Other than the rain out last night, you have good old Gibby on the mound tonight. I feel like if your last name's Gibson, you're just Gibby, even though there's really only one Gibby, Kirk Gibson, in baseball. But Kyle Gibson takes the mound tonight against David Price. How about that? David Price gets the start tonight. David Price with, I believe, a 3.23 ERA on the season. He comes into Philadelphia to start against Kyle Gibson. Phillies only a game up in first place right now. Only a game up in first place right now in the NL East, with the Braves beating the Cincinnati Reds last night. They continue their series. I believe it's a 4:05 start time tonight or today for the Reds and the Braves. So the Phillies maybe towards the third, fourth inning, maybe at tonight's ball game, know whether or not they're going to have to win to maintain sole possession of first place in the NL East. So we'll keep track of all that as we usually do. Yesterday, I talked about Ben Simmons quite a bit. And, you know, it's still really bothering me because I know how this is going to end. And there's a report out there by Keith Pompey, and I really don't want to bang you guys over the head with the Ben Simmons conversation, but we all know he's going to get traded. And Keith Pompey put it out there yesterday that it could happen within a couple of weeks. It could happen within a couple of weeks. And it could. It certainly could. Keith Pompey also suggested the word inevitable, that he's going to be traded. I still think that's the case. I am not banging the drum for Ben. I want to be very clear in all this. I know people are going to get swept up in Philadelphia wanted to run him out of town. I don't want to run Ben Simmons out of town. Getting Dame Lillard for Ben Simmons is not running Ben Simmons out of town. That's getting Dame Lillard. That's getting exactly what you need on this team. A guy that could be a 1A, 1B with Joel Embiid. That's really what you ultimately need. That's what you need to win championships in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton complement each other extremely well during their finals run this year. You need something like that on this Sixers team. It's not going to happen with Seth Curry. It's not going to happen with Tobias Harris. And I think it was The Athletic that just put out their player rankings in like tier 4, which I think were players 45 to 70, I want to say, in the NBA right now. And wouldn't you know, Tobias Harris and Malcolm Brogdon, the two people that I always compare in terms of what they would bring to a Sixers offense in terms of the number 3 scorer, what they would be, the number 3 scorer. That's exactly what they were. They were in the same tier. Not surprised at that at all. But watching the season play out, watching this offseason play out, I'm not banging the drum that Ben Simmons has to be traded. I still think he can come back to Philadelphia if he improves his game. If the Sixers don't feel like he's going to improve his game, then and you can get a real superstar for him. You can get a guy like Dame Lillard, for instance, that would be a superstar in this offense as well. Then you go out and you get him. But going back over the report that we talked about at length yesterday with Kendrick Perkins saying that Ben Simmons is going to hold out, and if he's still here by come training camp, if he's still here come the beginning of the season, he's going to hold out. That's a player being asking himself to be removed from the situation. That's not anybody running him out of town. That's a guy running out of town. And the more I think about it, the more pissed off I get, because I was on board with the process in terms of what Sam Hinkie was doing to break it down, to build it back up. I thought it was something that the Sixers needed to do. And then you think about all the losing, the complete 3 seasons that were wasted in terms of any type of fan investment. Even thinking at the deadline, maybe they get someone that puts them over the top, whatever it might have been. And you look at the 3 years that were really spent god awful. You got Joel Embiid in one of them. You got Ben Simmons in another, and you got Markelle Fultz in another. Markelle Fultz obviously didn't work out. Ben Simmons would be gone by the time he's 25 years old, and Joel Embiid would be the one guy that's still remaining. 3 years for Joel Embiid, and hopefully whoever you get back for Ben Simmons. You got to make it worth it. It's not just the talent of Ben Simmons and all the other great things that he does do on a basketball court, which you know I've acknowledged many times over. But it's also thinking about the investment that went into that. And that's what I'm thinking about when I talk about a return on the investment. It's not just getting somebody back for Ben Simmons. It's getting somebody back for Ben Simmons and also getting somebody back that'll make you feel a little bit better about being a god-awful basketball team for 3 years. 3+ years, really, when you think about it. Still really grinds my gears. But you know what doesn't?
Monte, we're working with each other and giving each other.
Easy guy to root for. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget, Farzy Show, at Farzy Show on Twitter, at Farzy Show on Instagram. You can win yourself some Phillies tickets, so make sure you take advantage of that. So check out all our social media posts to see how you can win yourself some tickets. And also feel free to hit us up whenever on all our social media, and we'll discuss really anything. We'll have ourselves some fun. My thanks to star of the show, Jim Hyden, who was down there at the baseball game yesterday, producer extraordinaire, Jim Hyden, for joining me today. My thanks to Derrick Gunn for joining us. Make sure you hit us up wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube page as well. Special guest coming your way tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll make sure we nail that down for you and let you know who we'll be talking to come tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Marc Farzetta. Thanks for joining us here at the Steven Singer Studios on The Farzy Show. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.